Nintendo Switch Sports is a game that was released on April 29th, 2022, a successor to the Wii Sports games, but obviously, since it's on the Switch, it's not called Wii Sports anymore. It sold really well, over 13 million copies as of the end of March this year. However, you probably know if you've heard about this game that the reception has been mixed at best. I guess to Nintendo it doesn't really matter that much since all this mixed reception and criticism didn't really seem to affect the 13 million game sales, but still, this was a disappointment to many fans who loved the Wii Sports games, and this game just didn't live up to the potential it had. So in this video I'm going to talk about my opinions on the game, what it did well, and what it could have done a lot better, as well as coming up with some ideas for how this could have been a better game. So, one of the biggest complaints that people have had is there is just not enough content. Including golf, which was added later, there are only 7 total sports. Well, now 8 sports, including the brand new basketball update, which I'll talk about later. But anyways, this does have more sports than the original Wii Sports game, but that was a launch title, while Switch Sports came out 5 years after the launch of the Switch, so not really that impressive. And the main reason this is a complaint is because in Wii Sports Resort, which was released back in 2009, that had 12 sports, and 24 if you count all the variations that most sports have. The fact that they are adding sports which we've already seen in the Wii Sports series in updates that take forever to come out is really disappointing. It's not bad to have fewer sports as long as the gameplay quality is good, and I would argue it is good. The gameplay can be really fun at times, but the issue is there's just not quite enough variety. The sports are well designed and fun to play, but some are just too similar to each other. For example, 3 of them are net sports: volleyball, badminton, and tennis. It's nice to have good online multiplayer in a game like this, but it just focuses too much on online multiplayer. The main progression system in the game is 1. Unlocking cosmetics for your character, and 2. Leveling up and reaching pro ranks in sports. This does give a reason to continuously play the game, but unfortunately this means you won't be able to unlock anything in local or single player. The outfits, they're pretty cool, and there's a lot of customization options, but you have to play online for a long time to get all the items, and you can miss items if you don't play all the time. The clothing options rotate every 2 weeks, meaning if you miss something, you probably won't be able to get it for a long time, unless it happens to be made available again later. Luckily, Nintendo did update the game at one point where if you collect all available items at the moment, there will be a new collection of items for items you missed, and that'll appear once a week for you to get. But still, it's just grinding to unlock all the items can get tiring, and sure, this gives you a reason to come back and play online every day, but most likely you'll play for like a day, maybe a few days, and then not play again for months like I did with this game. So, one of the largest problems with this game is the content updates. They take way too long to release, and they just don't contain enough content to make it worth the wait. First of all, physical versions of the game come with a leg strap, same one that came with Ring Fit Adventure, for use in soccer to make playing it feel more immersive. But the thing is, you couldn't actually use it in the main soccer game until late July! How does it take several months just to make the thing that comes with your game playable how it's supposed to be? Like, I'm sorry, but it's just ridiculous. You could only use the leg strap in a separate mode in local play only, where you just kick the ball into the goal and that's it. I can't believe it took so long to make it playable when it's literally visible on the cover art. Like, just ridiculous. Also, golf took an insanely long time to be added to the game. It was literally delayed, and it didn't arrive until November 28th, 2022. That was 7 months after launch. The fact that it took so long for just one sport to be added is insane to me. And guess what? All the golf courses are reused from Wii Sports. Sure, these are iconic, and the ones from Wii Sports were originally from NES Golf, but still, it's disappointing when they could have made new and improved courses, especially with the long time it took to get this update out. The only really new thing is survival golf for online multiplayer, which I'll talk about later, but this was just not really worth the wait. I had stopped playing back in August 2022, and I didn't even come back for this update because I was just kind of tired of this game. It didn't really seem worth it to play again. Like, golf is cool and like it's pretty fun, but it's not really the most exciting sport for a big update. And then finally, in the most recent direct, Nintendo revealed basketball. Honestly, I don't think anyone was expecting this, as it seemed Nintendo was kind of done with this game, but nope, new update. This released a few days ago. At least they didn't announce it months ahead of time with golf. Like, golf, they literally announced before launch, and it didn't come out till 7 months after launch. That was bad. So this is a cool update, and it's nice to have, but basketball was in Wii Sports Resort already, so it's not exactly all that new or exciting, but it's still nice, I guess. I just don't get why it takes them so long to add updates, especially when it's something that's not really new to the Wii Sports series. Like, I don't know that much about game development, but considering games like Wii Sports Resort had so many sports all at launch, why can't they just add more sports and quicker? Like, the game would be more successful if updates didn't take forever, although it still sold like 13 million copies, so again, it probably doesn't matter that much, but for like the actual fans, it's just a bit disappointing. It just sucks how Nintendo follows the strategy for some of their games. They'll release a game basically like unfinished, and then they'll add more stuff later, hoping that will get people to keep playing or come back to the game. And sure, it might bring players back for a little bit, but if it's not complete in the first place, players probably won't stick with the game all the way. So, better to release a game complete rather than just release a bunch of stuff later. But anyways, the next thing that Nintendo Switch Sports could have done better is Spocco Square. So, it may be disappointing to some people to not have Woohoo Island from Wii Sports Resort, but I think this new location is actually really well designed and super detailed. There's lots of shops and locations throughout the map, but they are ultimately just decoration and they don't really serve any purpose of the gameplay. Something I've always thought, it would be so cool if you could just walk freely around Spocco Square, like talk to characters, go into shops, look at everything, because the art design in this game is so strong. Like, it would just be so cozy if you could just walk around, go to shops, sit by the beach. Like, this would give the game a better atmosphere and more personality overall, and it would just be great to have a break from the sports and just be able to relax for some time in game. Wii Sports Resort had island flyover and biking, which allowed you to explore the great Woohoo Island and made the game's world feel more real and connected. Honestly, this is the main thing I was disappointed in with this game, and the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. Sure, more sports and a better variety of gameplay is overall more important, and I like that too, but it's so strange to make such a detailed and connected world, but then do nothing with it. Like, you see shops and a museum and other cool places with characters walking around, and maybe it wouldn't be a big deal to other people, but it would just be really cool to me. Like, I don't know, maybe even have like a separate game mode, like Wii Sports Resort makes with Animal Crossing, where you could expand and build things and everyone could have a unique Spocco Square. Is this a super big deal? No, but like also yes. The sports is what truly defines the games, but not having these elements like in Wii Sports Resort just make it feel less like an actual world and more like just a collection of mini games. Another disappointing thing, and something that many people have complained about, is Nintendo basically throwing out Mii's. They're focusing on Sportsmates, which is a really stupid name, to be honest. Like, it sounds dumb. Mii's are just so iconic, and it just sucks to have them pretty much thrown away. Like, you can still use them, but almost all people online just use the Sportsmates because Mii's severely limit your character customization, which, as I mentioned earlier, is kind of like the main progression system for this game. The only thing you can customize with the Mii is the main outfit on the body and nothing else. Like, I get it may be more difficult to tweak the Mii's to make them work with the items, but like, come on, would it really be that difficult? While I understand why the Sportsmates are here, it just doesn't change the fact it's still disappointing to just have so much less of a focus on Mii's. Like, everyone loves Mii's. Sportsmates are just, they just kind of look like Mii ripoffs, and it's just weird. So yeah, those are my main opinions and complaints about the game, and now I'm going to talk more in depth about each sport. So first up, volleyball. Volleyball is a really nice addition to the series. This is also a net sport like tennis and badminton, but it's different enough and definitely deserves a place on the roster of sports. It can be very enjoyable and satisfying, working with your partner and timing your hits, trying to win. The only main complaint I have with volleyball is that it's kind of unrealistic. Okay, hear me out. This might sound stupid since, yeah, it doesn't need to be super realistic. Yeah, this is a Wii Sports game, but I swear, so many times the ball just barely lands on the line when I'm like, that should have been far out. It's just kind of weird. Volleyball also is more floaty and slower in this game compared to real life, but this is a good change, and it makes a lot of sense because it makes the pace not too fast and still manageable for a game like this and gives you more time to react. Another thing, I just really wish I could ride the elevator in the background or walk up the stairs to go check out the several-story bookstore. Like, the art design in the sports, so good, like I've said before, it's so detailed, but it's just decoration, which is just so disappointing. Next up, badminton. Badminton really puts the bad into badminton because this sport is just not very fun to play. Also, why is it spelled like badminton but pronounced badminton? I don't know, the English language is just stupid. But anyways, badminton in this game, it just often feels really unresponsive, and maybe I just suck, but I feel like I'm always struggling for my life in this sport, barely able to hit the birdie in time because the Joy-Con is just not responding fast enough. This also has a problem similar to the one I mentioned for volleyball, where the birdie is often somehow barely in, like it's right on the line, and I'm like, that should have gone out. I've literally even had it go past the line, but it still said in. Like, what sense does that make? At least the background is fun to look at, There's lots of stuff there. There's several stores. There's a crepe store, Buttons, Mountain Co. There's even an ice cream shop. There's also a cool Skyview bridge above the area, and there's a library or a bookstore. But of course, it's just for decoration. It doesn't serve any purpose to the game. Yeah, badminton just feels like an unnecessary sport. It's quite similar to tennis, but a lot less fun. And for only being one of 3 new sports in this game, it's really not that unique, and they should have put another better new sport in. Next up, bowling. So, bowling is an absolute classic, so of course it had to come back. Bowling is very good in this game. I mean, you can't really go wrong with bowling, but I really like the survival bowling mode and the special lanes. Online multiplayer is pretty fun, trying to outscore everyone else and not be eliminated. The gameplay is also mixed up sometimes if you play in Pro League, and some lanes will randomly be special bowling lanes. These can actually be really tough and add a lot of fun challenge to the sport. It really makes you change the way you bowl, having to find different angles and possibly curve it around objects in your way. It also just controls well in general, with an emphasis on curving the ball to hit the pins better, and Nintendo did actually update the game in version 1.2.0 to make pins easier to fall when you curve the ball. It's kind of a weird change, but it does encourage the player to not just throw it straight down the middle every time, so I'd say it's a good change. But they removed the ability to roll the bowling ball backwards and scare everyone. Boo! Next sport, golf. So, golf is definitely the least memorable sport to me in this game, partly because it was added later and I didn't really play it much, but also because we've already seen this in both Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. All the courses from Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort are present in a remastered form, and they do look really good here. There are also 3 new holes in a special course, which I only realized while researching for this video. And it is nice that it's not all just reused courses, but it would have been nice to have more new holes than just 3. And honestly, I didn't even realize there were new courses because they don't look that different from each other. Maybe I just didn't play it, but I don't know. I feel like there's just more potential they could have done, adding cool things with more like decorations and stuff on the way. I don't know. Just a little bit lame to just reuse the same courses. The online gameplay in golf is quite similar to bowling. In survival golf, 5 holes are randomly picked, and players get eliminated as the game goes on, with the final winner being the lowest scorer at the very end on the last course. This is a smart way to make multiplayer more fast-paced, and since it's online, you don't have to wait for the other players to take their turn. You just go at your own pace as long as you don't run over the clock. Golf actually controls quite a bit better than in the original Wii Sports. Of course, since Switch controllers have gyro and the Wii remotes originally launched with the Wii didn't, but honestly, its controls are almost too accurate. So, the way you curve or angle your shot can really change the trajectory of the golf ball, and it can be frustrating at times not being able to get the ball in the hole. Maybe I'm just bad, I don't know, but I was pretty frustrated at times with the angles. Another thing I miss how in the original Wii Sports, the announcer would give enthusiastic commentary when you made a shot, and how the crowd would go, ooh, and then cheer when you made a nice shot. It just made it more fun overall and helped pump you up a bit in a sport that's not really that fun. It's a little bit boring. It's not a bad sport, but it's fine. There is some crowd noise in Switch Sports, but it doesn't feel as fun as the original. It feels more soulless, to be honest. Next up is a new sport, soccer. Soccer is definitely pretty fun, but the main problem I have is just, it's too slow. It's kind of a similar style to Rocket League with a giant soccer ball, but of course with sports mates instead of cars. The thing is, you and the other players are relatively slow. You can sprint, but only for a limited time, and you'll have to wait for your stamina meter to refill. I understand not letting everyone sprint all the time, but I feel like it would have been more fun if everyone had extra speed. Say if they made the sprint speed the normal speed and the sprint speed was even faster. It's not a super big deal, but it's a small thing that could make soccer quite a bit more fun to play. Although soccer can be sort of intense at times, especially with a close match, and even going into overtime with the first one to score getting the win, going back and forth, trying to score but also not wanting to go too far from your goal, or else the other team might suddenly score. And it's pretty nice they don't have assigned goalies, so you can kind of make your own strategy and just decide not to be locked at the goal the whole time, so that is pretty cool. And as I mentioned earlier, Nintendo did eventually add an update where you can play soccer using the leg strap, and it's actually really fun. It definitely makes soccer feel more immersive, and it can give you a bit of a workout. Just be careful not to kick something in your way. I accidentally kicked some clothes lying on the floor while playing, and they went flying. Unfortunately, this isn't really the best controlling sport though. The controls are a bit complicated for this type of game, with different motions necessary to sprint, kick, and do a header. Although with the leg strap, it is pretty easy. but the only downside is you literally cannot do diving headers, which is lame. I'm sure they could have come up with a way to make it work. Also, your character moves on its own in leg strap mode, which makes sense since you're only holding one Joy-Con, but it's also a bit annoying when your character goes in the wrong direction. Luckily, you can use the Joy-Con you're holding to redirect your character. It does kind of suck they simplified the movements for leg strap mode, but it is nice you can even play with the leg strap in the main game mode now, since you couldn't do this at launch. Yeah, overall, soccer is a well-designed sport, and it fits in this game quite well. It's nice to have an actual new sport, and this is only one of 3, of course. Next sport, Chambara, or Chambara. I don't know how to pronounce it, honestly, but it doesn't matter. So, Chambara is great. It's technically a returning sport from Wii Sports Resort, but just with a different name called Chambara instead of swordplay, but it's basically the same thing. You and your opponent are high up on a narrow circle platform above a pool, and you have to try and knock your opponent off the edge with the sword. You can pick from 3 different weapon options, one normal sword, a charged sword, or twin swords. These change up the gameplay, but it's balanced well, so it doesn't give anyone a big advantage. There's honestly quite a bit of strategy and timing involved to win, and you can't just swing like crazy or else you'll lose. Instead, you have to time and angle your swings so they don't get blocked, and if you keep doing this successfully, hopefully you'll win. The gameplay does usually feel pretty fair and accurate, although it can be a bit frustrating having to reset the motion controls in the middle of a match, because the Joy-Cons, they're just a bit funky sometimes. Like, the motion controls mostly work pretty well, but also, like, with Super Mario Galaxy, they just don't always stay centered, and that can kind of mess things up, but, like, you can just reset it, so it's not a big deal, but still, the Wii didn't have that problem. And also, the background in Chambara is probably my favorite background of all the sports. The water feature with the intercrossing swords and the plants is just really pretty, and there's lots of places to sit. There's even an outside area by the beach. I just want to go walk around and see everything up close. Is that too much to ask Nintendo? I know I've complained about this several times before, but I just don't get why they'd make such a detailed world, but you can't interact with it in any way. It's just decoration. Why? Just pointless. Then next up is tennis. Tennis is really fun and feels great to control. The swings feel really accurate, and you have to be careful which way you swing to get the tennis ball to stay in the court, of course, and not go out of bounds. It's not too difficult, but it adds some challenge and realism to the sport. It is weird, though, how in online play it seems to just be 2v1. Like, there's still 2 versus 2 characters, but there's 2 different players on one team, and the other team has 1 player controlling both characters. I'm not really sure why this is, but it doesn't matter that much. Also, something that's interesting I didn't realize until researching for this video is there's 3 different courts, and they each play slightly differently from each other. The ball bounces low on the grass court and doesn't lose speed when bouncing. The ball bounces higher on the clay court but loses speed when bouncing. And then on the hard court, the ball bounces high and doesn't lose speed on bounce. It would be nice to have more courts, but it is nice that there is some variety, even if it's only 3. So the last and most recent sport, basketball. Basketball was just added. It's way too late, but it's still cool to have this. It's not really that impressive since Wii Sports Resort already had this plus many other sports. Why not add a new sport we've never seen before in the series? I don't know. But basketball does have multiple modes, which is really nice and something most of the other sports lack. These are 2-on-2 matches, 3-point challenge, and 5 streak battle. This sounds awesome, and it is, but unfortunately only the 2-on-2 matches are playable online and the rest are only in local play. This is just super lame since the game is mostly focused on online multiplayer anyway, so why not make the mode randomly rotate each time you play an online basketball match? Nintendo just makes 0 sense sometimes. Basketball is definitely quite fun to play through, and is likely one of the best sports in the game. The tutorial took way longer than it should have though. It's a little complicated, but it's easy to get used to the controls, and once you get better, it becomes more fun to play. Though, this is surprisingly slow paced sometimes for a sport that's supposed to be really fast back and forth. You're only playing half court with 2 versus 2 people, and some of the games I had, you're just stealing the ball back and forth and not really scoring much at all. I guess it depends on the match, but like, maybe once everyone gets better, it'll be more fun, but I don't know. It also can be really frustrating getting destroyed in this sport. I had that happen, and it was not fun. So those are all the sports, and I just want to mention, there is also a leak that hinted at dodgeball potentially being added in the future. I think this would be very cool to have an actual new sport added, but knowing how long Nintendo takes to update this game, maybe it'll be another 2 years before we get any extra sports. So yeah, in conclusion, I will still argue this is overall a pretty good game. I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets, and the gameplay is high quality and very fun most of the time. And also the art design and music are great as well. The music It's not as good as the original Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort games, but Switch Sports does still have a fun and catchy soundtrack that fits the summer vibe of the game. It strikes a nice balance between energetic but not too much for the music in between playing sports, and most of the sports also have a great in-game ambience that makes playing feel more immersive. Still, you can't deny the game has a lot of flaws. The main reason the game got and still gets hate is just because of how it was released and its updates being so slow. Right now, as it is, the game is quite good and has a good amount of content, but the problem is it took over 2 years to get to this point, when the game should have just been at this level when it launched. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this game. Does it deserve the hate it gets? Is the game great now that they added basketball, or was that not enough? Anyways, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, or not if you decide to never watch any of my videos again, which is fine. Also, I said the words really and actually probably a lot, so count that if you want. I don't know. Goodbye.